Talk over drink.
Talks over drinks.
All right, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Talks Over Drinks. My name is Corey Fauconier, and as always, my partner in justice, the guy, Markel Prines. Markel, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing awesome, brother. Am I coming in loud and clear
Yeah,
for you?
loud
Can
and
you hear me?
clear. Yes, sir. Loud and clear,
All
loud and
right.
clear. How's your day going?
The day's been going very busy. It's talking about the day, the whole week has been a very exciting, busy week, but today has been busy. Um, you know, as you get older, sometimes you take those little naps. I didn't get a chance to take one of those naps. So so it's been one of those type of days. So,
I got
but
you. Well, it's
I'm
good.
glad to be with y'all.
It's good to see everybody with us. I definitely understand your food for action this evening.
Yes, so this one is a short and sweet one. So set your aspirations high, have faith in your journey, and work diligently to turn your dreams into reality.
I
So
got you, bro.
that's the mission for 2025.
Indeed, that is. That's right. And then my brother of another color, Jeff Kleb, Keswick, Virginia. How are you this evening, sir?
Right, enjoying some lemon flavored salsa water. I'm off the sauce for a little while.
Okay, well, we switched places because I got the whiskey and ginger ale. So since I'm
Cool.
not driving,
I might do that later, but I don't know.
I,
I'm right now. I'm just trying to clear my head a little bit. But
I got you.
yeah,
I,
it's been a very busy week. You know, we just got moved in. We're still unpacking stuff, and my wife ordered these shelf things that we're trying to build, and I got to hand it to her. She's been kicking ass on it, and I was trying to drill things into wood to fix a coffee table, and the wood is so hard it kept stripping the screws trying to
wow.
do it. I mean, it's like drilling into concrete. This thing's like 150 years old, like solid oak. Oh,
Yeah.
so been doing that. I got to see my grandson yesterday, so
Okay.
that was really nice, and I'll get to see him Christmas evening. So,
Okay.
but
This is
yeah,
first
I'm glad we don't have
Christmas.
to travel. We
This
don't
is
have to
first.
travel.
This is first Christmas.
Yeah, yeah, little Theo. Yep. He's not even 3 months old yet, and he's wearing 6-month-old clothes.
Yeah,
He's a
well,
big boy.
you're a big guy, and your son is a big dude too. So we me and Mandy buy all the baby clothes, so we know Eliana's big. Sayer is very small, so he's still, we bought him his first pair of sneakers and boots a couple of weeks ago. So,
Oh,
yep, just making it
grandkids
happen.
are awesome.
Yeah, man, grandkids are awesome. We get to relive, and my everyone's favorite Nazarene attorney, Sandy Sanders. Sandy, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Thank Jesus for that.
Amen.
Although I agree with the busyness. I have the sweet tea. I made it here at the house. I take a big container and I put gobs of sugar in it and 8 tea bags, and after a little while we have a gallon of tea. So
Okay, all right. Well, sweet
but I
tea.
do go places to get it. One of these days we could probably talk briefly on Talks Over Drinks about what sweet tea places Sandy likes the best and stuff.
Okay.
Just for fun. So we're just, Christmas is a stressful time for a lot of people, and I'm one of them, because you're always trying to figure out what to get, and we're trying to kind of downsize. So holidays are not a time for downsizing; it's getting more stuff. So I've had to kind of balance stuff against. I even asked Nina. I said, I could buy you a goat for somebody in Peru that needs a goat really bad if you want me to give you a goat, and then you don't have to actually see the goat. She says no goat for me, so we'll figure it out. But that's Christmas time. But it's a fun time. We don't have any grandchildren. We don't have any grandchildren yet. My children are trying to follow that rule of you marry the girl and then you have the kids.
I understand.
Or guy. And so they're working on those things right now.
Okay, I got you. Well, it's good to hear from you and my brother, my libertarian brother from Southwest Virginia, Joshua Huffman. Joshua, how are you today, sir?
Oh, doing fine. After I got off work today, I actually went out and got a big cup of sweet tea from Cadova, which I have here with me.
Okay, all right. Well,
Yeah,
we got some sweet tea, we got some seltzer
What was
water.
it good? Joshua, was it good?
it's fine. They actually brewed it while I was there waiting. They actually ran out of it. And it's fine. It's not the best sweet tea that I've had, but it's acceptable.
Okay.
Okay. Markel, what you sipping on?
I was going to say I'm the only one with I had water, but my water bottle was actually empty, so I don't have anything right now.
Okay, I got
But
you.
it was
Well,
just water.
like I said, so we're doing the tradition. So I'm definitely going to start holiday tradition. So in my family, growing up, we did Thanksgiving, and everybody used to go around the prayer circle and say what they were thankful for the year. And then there was a house in Elmont, Long Island, which is the next town over from Cambria Heights, Queens, where I'm from. And they had these houses, like three houses in a row, that had all of these holiday decorations. They probably made Lilco, Long Island Lighting Company, super nervous because the person converted their garage in the center house to Santa's workshop with all of the robot characters like Santa Claus building stuff and the elves building things. And we used to go see that house. And then growing up, after the Rockefeller Christmas tree went up, we would go to see the Rockefeller Christmas tree. The other thing we did a lot was they would inflate the Macy's Day floats on Central Park West. So we used to go out there the Thanksgiving Eve, and we would go watch them inflate all of the floats. And then Christmas was kind of low key in my house growing up. Now we've had, hold on, guys, Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. I've seen a lot of Rockefeller Center Christmas tree photos this season, and unfortunately, I didn't make it up. But that's one of the things that I think I miss. In the last couple years, I think the most Mandy makes, great holiday dishes and stuff. So we did this year. We had to work. So unfortunately, Thanksgiving was really funny. We made the turkey on the truck, driving from Missouri to North Carolina. So the turkey was made on the truck. Then when they didn't dispatch us for the rest of the Thanksgiving weekend, like we thought that we were, we went to an extended stay motel in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and we finished Thanksgiving dinner in an extended stay motel. So it was quite different because we were away from home, but it was funny because, of course, nothing was right with the hotel room at first, and we had to switch rooms, and we had to carry all the food stuff from out the truck into the hotel room. So we didn't eat Thanksgiving dinner this year until like 11:30 p.m. Thanksgiving night. So that was funny. And this Christmas, there's a lot of gifts, but we have like a little tabletop tree. We decided not to do, we have an 8-foot tree. And in fact, the last time we had a trimming party, Markel was the only one tall enough to put the star on the tree. So that was like last year. So we opted for the tabletop tree, but now there's more gifts in my house than trees. And that's 2024. Hopefully next year we'll be like Jeff and Noel, and we'll be in our own house. And then I think Mandy says she's gonna do a Christmas tree for every room. So 2025 should be very interesting in my house. Markel, y'all's Christmas traditions, growing
Man,
up and current.
wow, mine's just gonna be short and sweet. It's funny. You grew up right there right next to Elmire. I grew up right there on the opposite side. So right next to Elmire is Hempstead.
Hempstead,
So
yep.
first stop in Long Island. So that's where I'm from. But of course, growing up, I've been back and forth from Long Island. Started out, grew up in Long Island, then lived in Queens too. So I spent a good part of my childhood, young age, from kindergarten to fourth grade in Queens, and then back to Long Island, Hempstead, Roosevelt area. But back in those days, the tradition was to, do the same thing every holiday. Basically, we go to somebody's house, eat, or either mom would cook and we would be at home and eat. So that was, if you want to say Thanksgiving, that was always the tradition. Back then, as a kid, I was still a pork eater, so you know, it was the ham and the turkey and things like that for Thanksgiving and Christmas. But of course, as I got older, of course, the eating habits changed. So having eaten indulged in the pork in probably 21 years. So the the after that, I would say the holidays got a little bit different, especially when you would go to family houses and stuff like that, and they would cook. People had to be more specific, or about what they cook and stuff like that. So um, the traditions nowadays is less holiday focused and more just life as a whole every day being a holiday type of focus. I can't say that really I've celebrated the holidays traditionally in the last couple of years in the way that I used to. For example, this Thanksgiving was I treated it like a regular day, to the extent where we didn't do anything special as far as a big feast or anything like that. But it was a day to be thankful for, nonetheless, because it was a day that I got to appreciate and enjoy, like I get to enjoy a lot of the other days around the year. So um, it became the holiday seasons now is something that I kind of try to make a daily thing if possible. So this Christmas, I would say it'll probably end up being the same. I don't have any grandkids yet. Hopefully, my daughter doesn't plan on doing anything like that anytime soon. She's in college in her first year, her first semester at college. So yeah, here in VA ain't gotta buy no a lot of gifts for the kids and stuff like that. So no Christmas tree or anything like that. So I won't be putting anything on top of a Christmas tree this year. But pretty much I plan on enjoying it. Looking forward to the new year and what's to come for the whole of this new year, if we want to call it a new year. Is a change in the time, is a change in the date on the calendar, but I look at it as an extension of what I've already been experiencing and enhancing that to the next level.
Okay, I got you. Jeff?
Oh, well, I grew up in a military family. My dad was career Army, so we lived all over the place. We moved all the time. When we were lucky, the grandparents would come and visit us for Christmas. Other times, we would have a Christmas at home and then have a Christmas at grandma's on one side and then a Christmas at grandma and grandpa on the other. Every now and then we'd hook up with our cousins and have something there. It all depended on where we lived. But my parents are both deceased and gone for several years now. Um, we had fun with when my, sometimes with my stepfather, we would have Christmas with my mom and my stepfather, and then we'd go see my dad and my stepmother. But like I said, my dad died 25 years ago, and my mom died almost 10 years ago. But it was really fun when my son was growing up. His grandparents, he lost one of his grandparents when he was young, but then his grandpa and his dad's side I'm sorry, on his mom's side would come, and he lived until I guess my son was about 12 when he passed away, so he remembered him and everything. But one thing I remember when we were kids, especially living overseas, we got the Sears Wish Book, which is a catalog that they put out every year, like in October. And you would kind of go through there and dream about all the wonderful things they had in there.
Yeah.
Your parents would kind of remember those. Your parents would try and get the idea from it, and then we used to drive around and look at Christmas lights. I remember visiting my grandparents in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They would take us to where the Christmas lights were, and some of those people made PP&L really rich. With and back then they didn't have LEDs. Everything was incandescent lights, and they would have contests on streets. And one guy had a train in the yard. And I remember my mom and my grandma making a big, big dinner, and they would have these things called 7-layer cookies. Well, the reason why they were so good is because layer number 5 and layer number 6 were probably rum. So my mom and my grandma were catching a little buzz while they were making the dinner, and they just kept coming out with more food. And then some years she would make a ham. I like ham better than turkey. I know it's not better for you, but she would make this ham that would sit all day cooking, and it had this like orange sweet glaze on the outside of it, and you could just like your fork would go through it like a knife through butter. It was so good. And they had a big basement. We used to go down there and play, when we were kids, things like that. When I was a teenager, we used to go to the mall, and you were trying to run around. Now who goes to the mall? You go on your computer and you log on Amazon. So some of the memories of the holidays are gone. It's not the same world we grew up in. But, I find it going to Costco the day before Christmas is not exactly my idea of fun. So, Amazon helps out. But yeah, I mean, now that I've got a grandson, it's I'm going to see him Christmas evening on Wednesday night. But last year we were in Italy, and we were both sick the whole week of Christmas. And then the year before we were in Germany, and it was just the two of us. And no, my wife's mother was visiting us for a little while, so we got to spend Christmas with her. But basically, we're homebodies. We're not out going to big parties and anything like that. Sometimes we'll have somebody come by and visit us or something like that, but it doesn't sound like we didn't do the Christmas caroling very much. I remember that from when I was in grade school. People would sing Christmas carols and go knocking on doors. Nowadays, people are afraid they're going to get shot. So it's a different time. But I'd be interested to hear what Josh and Sandy did.
Sandy,
Yes.
holiday traditions, past and present.
Well, Jeff Kleb and I must have been, separated at birth or something, because we were. Dad worked for the Army Air Force Exchange, the PX.
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
Jeff has been in many a PX, right?
Yeah.
And in Germany, he ran the commissary, the food land, all of that stuff. It was a very exciting time. We got support the soldiers and sailors, and we thank them for their service right now, especially those who are away from home. But Christmas traditions were, if we were close enough to go visit my grandmother, my father's mother, at Christmas, we did. And for the first few years that Dad worked for the exchange, he was in, Augusta, Georgia. He was in Alabama, and then Augusta, Georgia, and then Orlando, Florida, and then Texas. And then when we moved to Michigan, the airfare was apparently too long. So Grandma came up here. So Little Ma came up here. And when we went to Germany, we went to different things. The German class would go to the Christkindl Mart. So I know all about the Magberg thing, because Nuremberg has this big Christkindl Mart, and you can buy every single Christmassy thing that you can think of, and probably some that they didn't think of, some that we didn't think of. You could buy stuff. It was just amazing. And we went there to buy stuff, but I didn't buy that much stuff. But it was interesting to see what people were doing. Clocks, and we did that little bit of that caroling thing. And I did get a train set one year. One year I got the mumps for Christmas.
Mm.
Wow.
That was a really, really fun time because I was like 5 years old. And so I was basically in quarantine, but the relatives would come up and talk. And I remember there was some teenage cousin of mine who was the high school cheerleader. She came up to say hello. And of course I said, man, you're like the prettiest girl in the world. So I made her day. That was her holiday season right there. Sure. But at any rate, what does a 5-year-old know about girls? But at any rate, and then as we got older, it was, you're right about the wish book. We had the exchange version of the wish book. And the things that I was interested in was the telescopes, the microscopes, coins and stamps, things like that, dorky things. They had to kind of focus me on things like shirts and what do you need to wear. And so, and I can say now that we're trying to make up Christmas traditions at home. And our big Christmas tradition is we generally go somewhere for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. And then we went to, we didn't go anywhere this time, but we do have an ornament drawing that we do tomorrow night. We'll do the ornament. We draw names and everybody picks an ornament, and we try to pick something that's fairly relevant to the year. That, like, I'll probably get an ornament that says the eclipse on it because I went to the eclipse with Tori. And so we try to find something that kind of will remind everybody, because the kids now keep their ornaments in a box specifically for them. So when they have their own place and they get married or whatever, then they can take their ornaments with them and they can start their own Christmas traditions. Now, we do go to church on Christmas Eve now, and we try to make something spiritual, remembering that Christ is born, which is an amazing thing, that Jesus Christ, God, as the Christians understand God, the creator of the entire universe, and I believe every bit of it, but it's amazing to me. He was born, and he was a baby in a stable. Now, maybe he wasn't born in December, maybe he was born in March, like the scholars say, but he was born. And I think and when you think about that, that's really an amazing thing. And so it's something to really get excited about. And it's very easy with the commercialization of Christmas and how all this hoopla. It's very easy to be the Grinch, but try to avoid it.
Right. Okay. Josh, your holiday traditions, past and present.
Okay. Well, I mean, growing up, I guess our Christmas tradition started on Thanksgiving Day, in that, right after we had our Thanksgiving meal, we'd go and put up the Christmas tree at my grandmother's house.
Okay.
And yeah, that was sort of a fun thing to look forward to. And fast forwarding here, then on Christmas Eve we would return to my grandmother's house, which is my father's side of the family. We'd all get together there, and as soon as it got dark, we would go out to neighbors' houses and distribute gifts, and then we'd come back to her house and exchange gifts with each other, and that was that. And then on Christmas morning, we'd all wake up, and my parents had the tradition where you would everyone would get a Christmas stocking, and of course there'd be stuff in there, and you just open that until everybody's ready, and see what's in there until everybody's ready to actually open presents, for the under the tree. And then after that, we'd go see my mother's parents. Unfortunately, all those traditions have since gone away, as all my grandparents are gone, as is my father. So this year, we were planning to get together with my sister and her family, who live over in Charlottesville.
Okay.
That she'd come across the mountain and I'd see my niece and nephew and my brother-in-law. But unfortunately, I just received word that they have fallen ill. So it's apparently because we were planning on making all this food before they arrived, and obviously we don't need that anymore. So right now, I think I'm going to go over to my mother's place. We're going to have lunch together, and then go to her church service, and that'll pretty much be all we do on Christmas Eve, as far as I know. And then Christmas Day, planning a get together at the Bridgewater retirement home where she lives. So,
Okay. All right.
Unfortunately, it's just the case where, well, I guess what happens with all of us. I mean, once we start to lose relatives, sort of the cohesiveness of the family isn't as strong as it used to be. I mean, heck, of course, as I mentioned, every Christmas I had to get together with my cousins, my aunts and uncles, all that sort of thing. And these days, actually, it's been several years since I've seen some of them.
Right.
But I mean, that's just, and I guess they've gone off and done new Christmas traditions of their own.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Anybody have any and I'm gonna go backwards this time. New Year's resolutions. Josh, do you have New Year's resolutions that you've sat down and written out and listed and making an active I guess active method of maybe trying to do some things different for 2025?
Well, yeah, I actually have never really made New Year's resolutions because I find a lot of people make them and then they immediately break them afterwards. And I'm thinking, well, what's really the point in that? Of course, the biggest thing is, I'm just waiting to get my visa so I can get myself to New Zealand. So yes, my resolution is, I guess, that I'm going to do everything I can to get myself into New Zealand as quickly as I can.
Okay.
But right now, of course, it's all in the hands of the almighty government. And as you know, they often don't work as fast as we'd like them to.
I understand. Sandy, New Year's resolutions for 2025?
Well, I think it's kind of a cliche to talk about losing weight, but I have been going to the gym for 2 or 3 months now, trying to work on my my body and lose a few pounds. I joked to Nina that I'm trying to improve the scenery around the house. Hopefully she's impressed with that. Scenery has always been great as long as Nina and I have been married. So from my standpoint, but at any rate, I think if there's something I'd like to do for 2025, it's go on a missions trip to another country.
Okay.
And I mean something that's specifically missions oriented. Jesus, maybe a little construction. I helped build a building in Nicaragua. It's still standing. So we're thankful for that. But I think that's something I really would like to do. And we've come into a few dollars, not a lot, but a few dollars. And so I think we can do that. And I'm going to let the Talks Over Drinks gang know when that happens.
Okay.
We might even have a Talks Over Drinks with Sandy on location.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
he can't even talk about where he's on location. It's a creative access, as that's a Christian jargon for a place that it's not easy to be a Christian.
I understand.
I don't think it'll be a country. I don't think it will be a country like that, but it may be a situation where I won't be able to be as open as I like to be. But you'll know that I'm trying to do something to serve the Lord, and Lord's given me a lot of days, and I don't know how many more days are left, and I want to use them for His glory. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, that sounds good, Jeff.
Well,
any New Year's resolutions?
I'm not really too much on resolutions, but sometimes I look at the new year as a chance to put the holidays behind you and take a breath of fresh air and, get things into perspective a little bit. I would really like to have our house totally with everything put away and not have, some boxes sitting around and stuff like that. We've made a lot of progress, but we just had so much stuff. And until you get like the closet set up. Like we bought these closet organizer things. So we took out the wire shelves and trying to build those. And then, my wife and I are stepping over each other, trying to get around. It's like, where does this go? Well, we have to put this in here, but until then, put it in the other room. And then, it's a work in progress, but we're blessed to have a new home, and at least we do have room for everything. It's just a matter of finding the right place for it. And I want to have a nice lawn by summertime. I guess
I
that you could
understand.
call that a resolution.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like much in the grand scheme of things, but if I can get the soil out here is red clay and dirt. So if I can get anything but weeds to grow, I'll be very happy.
I got you. Wow. Markel, resolutions for 2025?
Yeah, I hate to add on with the trend of not really having a resolution, but it seems like I agree definitely with Joshua. It's something that usually you hear people start, and then after the first month or two, people give up on whatever it is. Usually people go for those health goals, the weight loss goals. I ain't trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get healthier. So I would say my resolution would be to continue my health journey and trying to, maintain and do better on that aspect. I've recently made investment in myself, which as I made a video talking about your biggest asset and the most important thing that you can invest in is yourself.
You're
So
right.
I decided to do that, make an investment, which I'm very excited about. It leads to unlimited opportunities. So I think if we want to say resolution, my resolution would be to go into 2025 with a more positive mindset, with more energy, more excitement about being able to help and serve as many people as possible. I've been on a certain journey for years, for over a decade, and I feel as though, of course, timing is everything, and sometimes things doesn't happen on the timing that you want it to happen on, but when it does, you sometimes feel it, and you could feel when it's your moment to actually make a change. And sometimes we call it light bulb moments. It sometimes it takes a long time for those light bulb moments to come to you, and you realize that you had it all along, but you needed something just to spark that extra thing in you to get you to go to the next gear. So that's what I look forward to, and that's what would be my resolution.
Okay. Well, I think that each one of you has said something. So I was taught, and Markel knows James Harris Bully was my most recent producer that made a lot of our music and made a lot of advertisements for the Libertarian Party in North Carolina. And one of the things that I remember him saying a couple New Years ago was that in order for your resolution to kind of stick, you have to put it into regular use and process. And I always remember him posting that to Facebook. So I have a list of things that I want to kind of work on for the new year. One of them is something that I said I was going to do this year. And when I looked at my Bible app, I said I was going to read the entire Bible in 2024. So when I just recently got a new phone, so of course I lost all of the history of my Bible app. But the last time I looked at it, I read the Bible 200 days out of the 365 days. So I'm going to say that I want to do better than that. Hopefully I will read the entire Bible in 2025, but I want to do better than I did in 2024. The other thing is something that I discussed with Mandy, and she said that although the kids are grown, that doesn't mean that they still don't need parents. So I'm trying to have a specific time that I kind of carve out for each one of my children and my stepchildren in 2025, so that maybe some of the lessons that we have not yet taught them as parents, we will get the opportunity to teach them. Some other things are like take photography classes. I know that Markel edits Talks Over Drinks, and I appreciate him for doing that. But I think that the thing that I've learned mostly from my relationship with Markel is he's very focused on his affiliate marketing and his network marketing and his outreach to his customers for his auto parts business online and stuff. And I always say that Markel always says that the glass is half full. The glass is never half empty. It doesn't matter what kind of problem you call Markel with. He's like, there's always a solution to the problem. So I want to, I've kind of earmarked every day for some aspect of my life. So Sunday, of course, is for church and worship. One day I want to do some cryptocurrency research and investment. One day I want to work on my trucking business. One day I want to work on Talks Over Drinks. I've been looking at going back to school for my MBA. So I've been doing some research on that. So I want to kind of continue that research to figure out if that's something that I'm going to pursue. And then the other things are like, I have 2 books that I'm working on for 2025. One is a children's book, and one is a book about all the ghost towns in the Commonwealth of Virginia and how they kind of disappeared. And I want to get those books published, so I've been working on those. And the other thing is earning my motorcycle endorsement and learning how to play golf. So those are some of my New Year's resolutions. So I think the Bible and the family time, I think, are the most important things. And trying to, I guess, fashion myself after my friend Markel, because I see his growth, and I see that he's doing some of the things that he wants to do, and then he wants to include his friends and family in taking some time and dedicating it to his own growth. And I think that's important. And like I said, I've known him for 12 years, and I've seen his improvement in life. So I definitely want to mirror myself after him. And I want to continue Talks Over Drinks. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you gentlemen. You guys have been my friend and my brother. And I think Markel and I started, we thought we were going in a different direction. I will say that I feel like the Zoom allows us to communicate with people that are not here in the Commonwealth. It allows us to keep in touch with, Josh is kind of a little bit further away from us, and Jeff is a little bit up the road, but it allows us to kind of communicate with each other, bring our strengths to the table. I'm happy that I got an email from YouTube, and it said that the first episode we did with Mike Termott was the most viewed episode of our 2024 season, with 937, I think, viewers. So I definitely want to, continue working with you guys to help us grow the channel. I know it's not something that maybe we thought we would be doing, but like I said, my work with the Libertarian Party, and I'm grateful that Sandy introduced me to Rob Sarvis, because I don't think any of this would have happened without me meeting him. And then in meeting him, I met people like Josh and Jeff. And Rob called me this week. He's in Atlanta now. Rob Sarvis called me this week. I was talking to him on Facebook.
I'm touching you, Corey. I'm touching you. You're lucky.
So, he said him and his family have relocated. Last time I spoke to him, he was in Miami, and they've relocated to Atlanta. So I told Rob, next time I come to Atlanta, I'm going to try to connect with him. But, working with the Libertarian Party has taught me that other people that you may not look like you can consider your brother and your family. And I think the Libertarian Party of Virginia and North Carolina have taught me a lot. And like I say all the time, the whole purpose of Talks Over Drinks was to help bring some light to the third parties that don't get a lot of positive press. and I'm looking forward to our next episode where we could talk about the off-cycle elections and Donald Trump's second term and some of the things that we deem to hopefully happen and kind of turn some things around for us as a country and as a whole. But anybody have any last thoughts before we sign off?
I'll give one.
Go ahead, Jeff.
For sometime in the future in 2025, since you seem to have a good rapport with a woman, our guests so far have been outstanding. That Greater Idaho lady was cool. But have you ever thought about inviting Amanda Chase on here?
I have.
And I know she's not a libertarian, but she's...
So I will say that Amanda Chase was my state senator for a long time.
Mine too.
She always answered my emails. She always answered my telephone calls. If she didn't do it personally, somebody from her staff did. I will say that I appreciate Amanda Chase because as Mandy and I have been on the road, it was her emails and her information that kept me abreast of a lot of stuff that was occurring in the state. I'm always surprised that she does not get selected by the Republican Party to return to office. And I know that somebody was, I guess, won the special election or the firehouse primary that they had to replace McGuire. I'm not very familiar with this gentleman. I do need to do some research, but I kind of feel like, in my opinion, and I'm not a Republican, I don't think I'm cool enough to be in a cool kids club, as they say. But I think the Republicans keep making a lot of mistakes with regard to the leadership that they pick. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure what's going to happen to Virginia in this off cycle that we have. I have spoken with the Green Party in New Jersey has agreed to come on, and sometime in 2025, I expect that we're going to have the leadership of the Green Party in New Jersey as well as their gubernatorial candidate. And I've been speaking with them via email, so hopefully we can get them. And I don't know, Josh, if you've spoken with Jennifer, is the Libertarian Party of Virginia, are we looking to run a gubernatorial candidate for 2025? Do you know?
Not yet. I mean, granted, we still have, I guess, a few more weeks for someone to come out and do it. And I certainly would like to see someone do it, but I haven't heard anyone express interest to do that. And I mean, and I understand that. Of course, as someone who has actually run as a libertarian, when you run as a libertarian, you're not doing it because you have a sort of insatiable lust for power, which unfortunately is common in the two major parties. Because, of course, your odds of winning aren't particularly good. So you have to do it, in my opinion, more for the movement than you do because you have a massive ego.
For ideas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
For ideas. You have to run because you want to present some ideas.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And I've always thought that lieutenant governor or attorney general is better for libertarians because you might get more bang for your buck, and it doesn't matter.
Hello, Mike Termott.
Yeah, there you go.
Mike Termott. Yes.
Yeah.
He lives in Virginia.
Yeah, but Sandy was saying, Jeff, we don't know if he's lived in Virginia long enough to qualify to run for office like that, and I'm not sure. Offhand, I don't know. I did speak to Mike a couple times since we've interviewed him, the 2 times he's been on Talks Over Drinks. I think he wants to do something. And I need to try to give him a call back so we can connect. I told him that I would try to connect when I came home for home time in January. Just in my personal opinion, I mean, I think Chase Oliver was great. I just think Mike Termott was a superior candidate. I think that he was level-headed. he would polished. I mean, both of them were polished, but I just think that Mike Tremont was probably the better candidate. That's just my opinion. I think the Libertarian Party needs to run somebody. And like we said, I don't know. I haven't spoken to Jennifer. I know Jennifer's in Florida with her family. The last time I spoke to her, she said she was going to be gone for the holidays. And by the time she comes back, I'm going to be gone. But I think that there needs to be outreach on the Libertarian Party, but I think we need to be a couple cycles ahead. We shouldn't be just, well, who are we going to get next? We need to be 2 or 3 cycles ahead with working with candidates, helping them being polished, helping them being able to, get their message out there and do a lot of things. So I think it requires us to be prepared a little bit ahead of the cycle so we know what we're doing. So for us to be going into this next cycle, this is an off cycle, and it's only Virginia and New Jersey running. Like Sandy said, if all libertarians across the whole United States pool money and resources to Virginia and New Jersey, then we should have enough money to, put advertisements in major areas and major newspapers, major television shows.
Yeah, on the radio.
Yeah.
If you don't mind my interrupting.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
On the radio, especially because the radio is a much cheaper way of doing things. And I know somebody might be thinking, well, Sandy would be a great candidate, but I don't think that's going to happen. Although I must admit that I love the idea of the idealism behind it, and I think I would bring some idealism. But I don't know that Nina would be thrilled about my gallivanting about. But I sure would be helpful to help somebody else. And I do think that I think politics is changing, and I think that there may end up being an outlet for third party again.
Well, I hope so.
And I think people who run for office, who are motivated by the right reasons to run for office, are needed. We need them in this country. We need Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, others, Green. We need people who will run and state their conviction. And I just feel like there's not enough of that. Even the side I liked wasn't one for talking a lot about issues, and the side I didn't like, some of their issues were wrong too. So I think there's a place, and the major coverage of the election is never third parties, unless to say they spoil it for everybody else. And that's not right.
I mean,
they don't spoil it. You have to earn everybody's vote. And if you don't earn the vote to a Libertarian or a Green, you didn't earn their vote. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
It's an ignorant perspective to say that you spoiled it. I think that, like I said, I always remember me and Josh reconnecting. I was sitting on a washing machine at a Travel Centers of America in Denver, Colorado. And Josh was like, Corey, I need your help. And we talked about his most recent campaign. And it's just the fact that he was doing it because he wanted to educate his fellow Virginians. And I think that's really what this is all about, educating people around you to maybe look at things in a different perspective. I laughed because I had 2 friends that called me, and they were like, well, I'm having this problem with my business idea. And I immediately thought of Markel, and I was like, well, you guys should give Markel a call, because he usually has a different perspective, especially about dealing with things on social media and attracting potential customers to at least have a conversation with you. And I kind of feel like, politics is no different. You're looking at reaching out to people that may not share your perspective or may not look at things from your perspective. But if you were to have a conversation with people and you were able to attract them to a different perspective, or say something to them, and they would be like, "Oh, I never thought about that." And like I said, in my relationship with Markel, a lot of people are like, "Well, I never thought about it like that," and it gave them a different outlook or a different perspective. And I think Sandy's right. I think Joshua's right that people don't look at politics like that. People look at politics in these two opposing situations, and we continue to vote for one of the two major parties, but then nothing changes for us. So after a while, it's like, well, maybe you should vote green, or you should vote libertarian, or you should vote forward, or you should just vote for the independent, because you could always go back to voting for one of the major parties, but if you look at things, nothing really ever changes. It just kind of balances back and forth. And I don't necessarily think it gets any better. It just continues to kind of perpetuate, and we still have the same problem. And like Markel says, it's no solution. Like, what's the solution? What's the solution to the situation? And I think that the average voter or the average Virginian doesn't look at anything past that. They just, well, we don't want Donald Trump in power. We don't want the Harris Biden camp people in power, and we continue to go through the same problems. But then when you look at it, a whole lot of what both parties are doing are unconstitutional anyway. So,
I remember what Gary Johnson used to say. One of his slogans was, "Be libertarian with me one time. Give me a chance, be libertarian one time, and if you don't like it, you can go back." Unfortunately, it didn't turn out very well for him, but he was the only presidential candidate in my lifetime I voted for twice.
Okay. Wow.
But as far as Virginia and New Jersey, we're the only two states in 2025 that have a gubernatorial election.
Yep.
Virginia and New Jersey are the only ones that do their election the year after a presidential election. Most other states do it in the even years. And here in Virginia, it's going to be a very contentious race. There's going to be a lot of out-of-state money pouring into it because the Democrats want to get rid. Glenn Youngkin can't run again because he's term limited. You can't succeed yourself in Virginia, but they want the governor's mansion back so badly. As a gun owner, that scares the hell out of me.
Yep.
Not that all of our Republicans are great on the Second Amendment, but the Democrats tried to push all those bad bills through. Unfortunately, Governor Youngkin had some ink in his veto pen. But next year, we're going to have the state the state assembly is going to be up, and we're going to have the governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general open. Now, the guy who's mayor of Richmond, LeVar Stoney, is going to be running for lieutenant governor. He's another one who's going to fail upward. You have Spamberger, who resigned her seat in Congress to run to be governor. She's going to have a lot of money behind her. She's a formidable candidate. And then the Republicans probably Winsome Sears. She's pretty good. Not ideal, but on Second Amendment, she's pretty good. She's the current lieutenant governor. She seems to be, from what I know of her, she seems to be pretty tight and pretty squared away. Jason Miyares is running again for attorney general as a Republican. I don't know who the Democrats are going to run, but the Republicans in Virginia.
Jay Jones looks like the front runner for that.
Who is it?
Jay Jones. That's a former delegate from Tidewater.
Okay,
Jay Jones. I never heard of him.
I think
never heard of him
Gerard. He's a black former delegate or former senator, and he ran the last time against Herring, but he didn't get nominated.
Well, the Republicans better get their heads out of their butts in Virginia, because I'm so tired of their slogan being, well, we know we're not really good, but the Democrats are worse. So you should vote for us.
That's not.
I'm sorry that you got to give. I'm tired of having to vote against somebody all the time. I want to vote for somebody.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I think that's what sunk Hogan. Hogan is a very popular fellow in Maryland. People genuinely liked him.
My brother does. He lives there.
He endorsed people, and they put their sticker on, Hogan has endorsed me, kind of thing. But I think he ran away when he ran for U.S. Senate. He kind of said, well, I'm ashamed to be a Republican, but vote for me anyway because I'm not the Democrat. And I
Yeah,
thought first
that's bad.
you're going to alienate people, hardcore people in your party by being ashamed, and then because he's not a Trumper, he's an anti-Trump. But but he didn't really give. I just feel like that's a poor reason to vote for somebody.
You're right.
Now, also Brooks had the standard Democratic positions. You elect me, and I will do these things. So if you
socialism,
like those things,
ban guns, raise taxes, all that stuff.
abortion, yes, I know. Right, exactly. But I know we're starting to do some mission creep into our next discussion.
Yes.
And I want to be careful that we mindful of time and stuff too.
I agree with that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, yeah,
No,
we talk. We're talking about everything that we need to talk about. Well, like I said, I guess we'll catch up next episode, and we'll discuss that.
And you need to reach out to Amanda Chase, Corey.
I did.
Reach out to Amanda Chase, and when Greater Oregon, when Greater Idaho comes out, I'm spreading that around.
Yeah.
That was an excellent show.
Yeah.
And I think it might beat out Termont if we can get some attention for it. And the more people we get, the better people we'll get. And pretty soon we'll be, maybe the dream would be that someday there'll be an envelope that will come from Talks Over Drinks, and it will have a quarter in it. And it will be all the money that we made in the last month it might be a quarter, a $50, $5 bill.
Hey,
take Dinah to cookout for dinner.
Hey, I understand. Well, listen. So in the results of time, I definitely appreciate you gentlemen for joining me and the conversation, and I wish us well for 2025. My name is Corey Fauconier, as always, my partner in justice, the guy Markel Prines, my brother of another color, Jeff Kleb, everyone's favorite Nazarene attorney, Sandy
Merry
Sanders,
Christmas.
And my Libertarian brother from Southwest, Joshua Huffman. We are Talks Over Drinks. Remember, folks, it's never too early or too late for Talks Over Drinks. Cheers, and have a good night, day, morning.
All right, let's talk over drinks.
Talks over drinks.